Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Welcome back to Fans from the Stands, starring myself, my co-host Costa. Um, he's a little under the weather right now, so I decided to hop on here, keep it going. All in his memory. But he'll be back on Saturday. We definitely got a lot more coming to you guys. Shout out Carl. Shout out the AGT Network. Make sure you guys go and follow on Facebook, YouTube. You can find it everywhere. The AGT Network. Um, First things first. First thing I want to get into, man. Shout out the Lakers. They're riding a 3-game win streak. They just came off another victory. They beat the Charlotte Hornets today. Um, Great game from Bron. Great game from AD. Great game from D'Lo. And I think D'Lo is the X factor. As long as D'Lo has a good game, the Lakers are extremely tough to beat. D'Lo had 21 tonight, 10 and 1, 10 of 21 shooting, a little under 50%, but I like to see his volume in shots. 5 for 12 from three, 3 for 3 from free throw. Braun chipped in. He had 26, 4 and 7, 12 of 22. Super efficient game. He was 0 for 5 from three. I wish Braun would stop taking so many threes. That's a big issue with me. Like Braun takes so many threes, but I get it though. He's 39. He can't really go to the lane how he used to. He's not that high flyer no more. So I get it. I understand it. And the game is transcending into that, right? A lot more threes are going up from what it used to be back when threes used to be forbidden. Now guys are getting threes up at will. But he was 0 for 5 though. 0 for 5 is terrible. I really wish that Brown would stop throwing up so many threes. But anyway, I can't complain. 12 of 22. That's still a super efficient game. That's over 50%. Anthony Davis, immaculate, marvelous. Again, he's playing like an MVP. I said this on a previous show. AD had 26, 15, and 11 tonight. Triple double. He had 3 blocks. He was 12 of 16 from the field. It's nothing much more that you can ask from AD. AD was excellent tonight. AD was phenomenal. Um, AD is probably defensive player of the year in my opinion, all bias aside. I mean, he got the stats to prove it. Like I said, he's playing like a top 5 player in the NBA, but I'll say top 10 just because I know it's going to be a lot of critics out there, a lot of people who say, "Oh, well, he's always injured," but Anthony Davis actually hasn't been injured tonight. The Lakers just got word on Jerry Vanderbilt. He will be out for 3 to 4 weeks, which is a lot better than what they originally were saying. They were trying to say he was going to be out for the year. He has a mid foot sprain, which is interesting because it's like, how do the middle of your foot get sprained? But 3 to 4 weeks is a lot better than Vando being out for the season. I do think they will miss Vanderbilt. Now it is extremely interesting to see what they would do trade wise. I know that they were talking about getting Kyle Kuzma, but now that you got Vando coming back in about a month, well, he'll be reevaluated in a month. We don't know if he'll be back in 3 to 4 weeks, but they said he will be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks. So I don't know if the Lakers want to try to make a move forward or if they want to try to maybe find somebody on the buyout market instead of trading for a forward just because you do have Vando coming back. I think that would be a viable option. Like I said, they talked about Kuzma, but I just think Kuzma. I mean, what do the Lakers give up to get Kuzma? Even though D'Lo is playing his trade value up, um, I don't think that any team wants D'Lo in a way, right? Because it's like his play style almost isn't conducive to winning. And I know that's harsh to say, but as a Lakers fan, it I'm just a realist, right? I watched a lot of basketball growing up, a lot of sports in general growing up, and I love his game. I love his demeanor. I love his style of play. But once again, it's not conducive to winning. So a lot of GMs and especially the media, they're almost kind of throwing him under the bus in a way. But I mean, it is what it is. It's come with being a professional basketball player, just a professional athlete in general. Christian Wood is great. I'm glad to see that Darvin Ham finally started putting him back in the rotation. I believe Darvin Ham was under fire just because it's like his rotations were bad. You were playing guys over. Let's put it like this: he was rolling out Torian Prince, TP, and TP was playing way more minutes than Christian Wood. Like Christian Wood was getting DMPs, right? Like DMPs. There's no way that Christian Wood should be getting a DMP at all. Christian Wood is probably the second best big on the Lakers, and he wasn't playing. Like they were playing Jackson Hayes over Christian Wood. And I get it. I know it might have been for defensive purposes, but honestly, Christian Wood hasn't been that bad on the defensive end. He hasn't been a liability that he's been known to be for his career. He's actually been really well. He has one of the best plus minuses on the Lakers for the season right now. So I'm not understanding the flack. I don't understand much of why he doesn't play, but when he does play, he's awesome. He's a floor spacer. He helps Anthony Davis. He helps Bronze. He helps everybody get shots. He helps everybody with the ability to get to the rim when he's on the floor as well. Um, Max Christie, another good game. 6-3 tonight. Not major box score numbers, but his presence is what I really appreciate. His understanding of where to be defensively and how to slide his feet, etc. The game before that, the Lakers beat the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks were on a 9-game win streak. Now, a lot of people might say, "Oh, we didn't have Julius Randle or whatever the case may be. We didn't have OG," and I don't think neither one of those guys would have made a difference. Uh, the Lakers just look like they're a team that's starting to gel. They're starting to mesh pretty well. Like I said, Darvin Ham is getting the rotations down. And the Lakers look good, man. In the game before that, they beat the Boston Celtics, who are number one in the East. They didn't have LeBron or AD when they got this feat done. So I think that LeBron and AD were able to watch that game and understand how their teammates like to play. And I thought that was a good thing that they sat down and the team was able to win that game. And the game was able to go through Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves was big. He stepped up when his number was called. He knew he was going to get a lot of shots that night. Like I said, with no Bron, no AD, D'Lo stepped up. Everybody looked good, and they knocked off a number one seed in the Boston Celtics that a lot of people thought that they would lose. A lot of people thought that the Lakers would lose to the New York Knicks as well. They thought that this 5-game road trip would be bad, but so far they're 3-0. Can't ask for much more. Around a 3-game win streak, and hopefully they continue to do that moving forward. Now let's get into it. The Pro Bowl games, absolutely terrible, man. I can't continue to watch like the Pro Bowl games, right? I can't continue to watch um touch football. Like they've actually made it flag football. I don't understand that. Like if you aren't gonna go to the Pro Bowl and you're not gonna tackle, you're not gonna um just go out there to put on the show for the fans, then what are we doing it for? Now you got the Pro Bowl games and they're playing dodgeball. Like if I wanted to play dodgeball, if I wanted to watch dodgeball, first off, I would have probably threw on the dodgeball movie and or I mean, I don't know, I turn it on FS1 or something. Like I could find dodgeball anywhere. I think that the Pro Bowl has become almost a laughing stock of the NFL and the ratings will continue to drop. Now, what would I do to improve the Pro Bowl? Maybe give them a little bit better incentive. I think more incentives might entice guys to actually want to go out there and tackle, actually want to go out there and make plays, maybe create new games. Because, I mean, look at it from this perspective, right? They have these precision passing games, and you got guys like Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, who are great quarterbacks, but now you have them playing a game that doesn't really pertain to their strengths, right? So I think when they're making these games and they're coming up with these ideas for the Pro Bowl, I think they should think of everybody as a collective. Think of all the athletes as a collective. So, like I said, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, try to create maybe running things or roll out things for those guys, right? And the reason why I say this is because then now these guys won't catch any flack from the Pro Bowl, right? Like Jalen Hurts posted one of the worst precision passing numbers in Pro Bowl history, and that made news, that made headlines, and that doesn't necessarily go on a display or tell you what type of athlete that Jalen Hurts is or what type of player he is, because we all know Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback in the league, right? But I think that just the faultiness in the games and having these certain Pro Bowls and skill competitions don't really pertain to guys like I said, Jalen Hurts, even Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson. Like these games don't really pertain to their strengths. It doesn't show the things that they do well. And I think if you start to create games that show and display things that other athletes do well, this might help with ratings, right? I remember at one point in time when Sean Taylor and the Clinton Portises and Peyton Mannings and all of them were in the Pro Bowl and they were actually trying to win the game. Ray Lewis and those guys were actually trying to win the game. Those guys were actually trying to take the other team's head off because they didn't care. It was bigger than a check. They were looking at it for what it is and not what it was. They looked at it as an opportunity again to put their talent on display, and they treated it as such. So I would definitely like to see the Pro Bowl get back to that. I don't think it'll ever happen, especially with it being flag football. I think, I mean, you got receivers now getting 25, $30 million a year, right? So of course they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to have any tweak anything, tear anything in a Pro Bowl game. That's meaningless. Even though I can't necessarily think of any circumstance or any I can't remember a time where a guy really got injured in a Pro Bowl and like he missed the season. Right? Like let's be real on that. When was the last time a guy like maybe tore an ACL or just anything, any major injury in the Pro Bowl? Exactly, right? Because they play on the best field there. The grass is great. It's not a turf field. They're on a grass field. It's well taken care of. It's maintenance. It's not muddy. Nothing, right? So it's the ground gives, and that's when a lot of these non-contact injuries happen because they usually happen on turf. But when you got field grass that's actually taken care of, that minimizes these injuries. So that's just my take on it. That's what I hope that they'll get back to, and we'll see. The NBA All Star had their voting, their All Star, the NBA All Star teams had were announced, and they came out. Um, Trey Young was snubbed once again for I believe, the third year in a row now, and it's quite surprising because I mean, you got a guy like Trey Young. Trey Young is averaging, I want to say, 27 a game. What is it? 27 a game, 3 rebounds, 11 assists. The NBA All Star is really just a popularity. I mean, the All Star game, I guess, is a popularity contest, right? But I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. He's like top 10 in scoring, top 10 in assists. I don't top five in scoring probably, but I don't. Hey, everybody's guess is as good as mine. Trey Young was a big, huge All Star stub. I thought that um, Trey Young should have made the game. I thought that he should have been on the team. I'm just surprised. It's surprising. Of course, you know Giannis was gonna make it, and B was gonna make it, Brown was gonna make it, Katie was gonna, all the big household names were gonna make it. I'm super excited that SGA was voted in again. I like SGA. He's one of the best young players coming up in the league. Oklahoma City really got one with Shea Gilgis Alexander. He's gonna be very good for the next 10 years. That's a guy they could build around. And I'll be interested to see how Oklahoma City builds that team. They usually always draft well. As you know, they drafted KD, Harden, Russell Westbrook, Ibaka. I believe they drafted Steven Adams as well. So Jeff Green. And those just guys that I could think of off the top of my head. I believe Reggie Jackson was drafted by the Thunder. Like, so the Thunder's got a real good history of drafting some really talented players. Right now they have Jalen Williams as well over there, who they drafted. Luke Giddy is pretty good. They drafted him as Josh Giddy. Sorry, Josh Giddy is pretty good as well. They drafted him. They're good with in-house talent. They're good with finding talent, finding value within the draft, and getting guys who fit their system and fit everything that they want to do. Very, 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 very good farming system out there in Oklahoma City. You got Damian Lillard, who made the Eastern Conference All Star. I mean, the Eastern Conference All Star starting team, which I don't get. Again, I think Trey Young is having a better season than Dame Lillard. I like Tyrese Halliburton. I think that The only reason why he's in and he's a starter is because of how hot he was during the in-season tournament. I believe he was averaging like 30, 15, and like freaking 8, something crazy like that during that tournament during that time. So his popularity and everything grew, which leads to him being in the All-Star game. Because once again, it's a popularity contest, right? Um, who else we got here? Jason Tatum, of course. Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, and Luca. Um, Pretty solid team. I'm not really too, the starters are the starters. I'm not, it doesn't bother me. I'm happy with, who they voted in. Again, I wish that Trey Young would have been a starter, but it is what it is. And they also announced the reserve. So for the Eastern Conference, you have Bam Adebayo, Paolo Banchero, who's having a great season, by the way. Paolo Banchero might be one of the best number one draft picks since LeBron James. And I truly mean that. He's helped the Magic. They're building well around him. The Magic are talented. They're a good team. They're a young team. They're on the come up. And they're gonna be pretty good as well for years to come. Anthony Black, Cole Anthony, Paolo, Franz Wagner. They got some talent over there. Jalen Brown is also reserved. Jalen Brunson, who's having another awesome season for the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks look great too. This might be a year for the New York Knicks, and here's the reason why I say this: you got Joel Embiid hurt, right? You got the Bucks who can't necessarily play any defense. Then you got the Boston Celtics who have lost 3 Eastern Conference Finals since 2018, I believe, or 2019. I believe it's since 2018. They lost 3 Eastern Conference Finals and they only made 1 Finals appearance, which they lost as well. Right? So if you're the New York Knicks, honestly, the time is now. Like, hey, any of my New York Knicks fans, if you guys are in here, you guys are watching, you guys see what's going on. I do think that it is the New York Knicks time right now. And I believe the only way that, that they're going to win any type of championship or anything is in a down year with other teams. And like I said, hey, you got the Celtics. It's not the Celtics. The Celtics who can't seem to get there and get the job done. You got the Bucks who are in a down year. They can't defend. And you got the 76ers who are battling with injury. So I think the New York Knicks should look to make a trade, possibly try to beef up their roster, maybe try to get another all-star, superstar level guy. And I mean, the Knicks can make some noise, man. They got a pretty good team. That's a pretty good roster. I do not think it's a championship roster. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck into the championship, but I don't think it's a championship roster. It's not beating anybody out west. The roster isn't better than the Clippers. The roster isn't better than the Lakers. The roster isn't better than the Nuggets. Like, there's a lot of teams out on the west that I do not think that uh, the Knicks are better than. The Suns are better than the Knicks. Like, it's a lot of teams out west that are actually better than the Knicks. And I do think the West will win the NBA Finals again this year. But let me get back to these reserves. You got Tyrese Maxey, who's balling for the 76ers. Donovan Mitchell, who, I mean, Spider is Spider. He's having a great year. Julius Randle, another great year. Devin Booker is playing great. Steph Curry has been awesome. I'm surprised that Steph Curry is only a reserve. Like, I believe that rest Steph Curry should be a starter. I'm not understanding how Luca, honestly, or KD is really a starter over Steph, but the West is packed, man. The West is loaded. You got Anthony Edwards, who's on the reserve. You got Anthony Davis, who's a reserve. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Karl Anthony Towns. The West is loaded, man. There's a lot of talent in the West. I think that when you look at it and you start to think of things, I think that they should get back to the old format that they did have last year, that they tried for 1 year where guys didn't get voted in by Eastern or Western Conference, but they just got voted in to get into the All-Star game just, based off play, off popularity. I think that if they would have allowed that to happen again this year, I think Trey Young possibly does get in, but I mean, who knows, man? It's a it's a tough situation. It's a tough way to be in. And Trey Young isn't even really the biggest snub. I think he is a huge snub, but I mean, you got a lot of guys out there who are snubs, right? Let's go into it. Who can I think off the top of my head? Sabonis. right? Sabonis was another huge snub. I thought that Sabonis should have made it this year. I thought De'Aaron Fox should have possibly made it this year. Like, there's definitely a lot of snubs when you think of who could have been on the roster. But once again, the West is deep. The West is loaded, man. You aren't voted in the All Star game based off where your team is playing right now, based off of what seed that they have right now. So I mean, it's hard for those guys to get in. You got those small market teams and guys who are fighting just to get in, who want to, get a chance to get paid a little bit more, right? Because you get a bigger bonus, you get a bigger contract when you make like all NBA teams, you make NBA All Star teams, and of such. Um, Another thing I want to talk about, my last thing before I get out of here. I was asked a question the other day, and the question was, "Are the Chiefs a dynasty right now?" Good question, right? I had to think about it, and I paused. And I think about everything that the Chiefs have done. 6 straight AFC championships. Amazing. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. Only one other guy has done something to that feat, and that's Tom Brady. He's a legend, right? Um, Multiple MVPs. Even though that has nothing to do with the dynasty, but they have a guy with multiple MVPs on that dynasty. They have a guy who has gotten to the Super Bowl on the road now. They have a team that went into Buffalo and won. A team that went into a hostile Baltimore environment and won. And they were underdogs in both games. And everybody thought that they would lose. Everybody hoped that they would lose. And somehow this team got it done this year. The Chiefs. Everybody thought they were in a down year. A lot of drop balls. A lot of penalties. They lost to the Raiders. A lot of people did not expect the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl this year, but somehow this team is in the Super Bowl. Somehow Patrick Mahomes has willed this team to get to the Super Bowl and get them back to the promised land. Travis Kelce is on his last legs. He's like 35, and somehow he still manages to get open. He still manages to make the big play when they need him to. Patrick Mahomes was playing without his all-pro guard, and somehow it seemed like the Ravens couldn't even get pressure on him. When the Ravens tried to bring blitzes, he hit the open man. He found the gap. He found the hot read. He saw where the blitz was coming, and he threw the ball in that direction, in that vicinity, in that area that was vacated. So as I sit here and I thought about it, and I thought about everything that the Chiefs have accomplished, uh, 6 years ago into the playoffs, 6 years ago into the AFC Championship game. I believe this is their fourth Super Bowl. Yes, it should be their fourth Super Bowl because he's only lost to Tom Brady once and he lost to Joe Burrow. Patrick Mahomes in 6 years has only lost to two quarterbacks, and one of which is retired, and that's Tom Brady. And he's lost to Joe Burrow. Never mind, he came back and beat Joe Burrow last year. Got his lick back, got the last laugh. Beat Josh Allen and beat Lamar this year. So when you sit here, when you think about it, and you ask yourself, are the Chiefs a dynasty? First off, what is the criteria for a dynasty? Are we talking 2 championships, 3 championships, 4 championships? I would say maybe 3 championships, right? But then do the AFC championship appearances count as well? Right? That's something that you got to ask yourself. Like, do those count as well? Are we counting how many games they won during the regular season as well? So it's a lot that goes into what makes a dynasty. Um, I think one thing I could think right off the bat is 3 championships within a 5 year span, 6 year span, maybe. If you're able to win 3 championships within a 5 to 6 year span, you're a dynasty. They're on year 6 and they have a chance to get title number 3. Once again, with a roster that looked depleted, no Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce looks old. This team is old. This team's not really old. This team is young. This team had their problems early in the season. This team took bad losses early in the season. This team was under 500 at one point early in the season. And everybody thought they wouldn't even make the playoffs. But here they are in the Super Bowl with a chance to get ring number 3 in 6 years. So to answer your question, do I think the Chiefs are a dynasty? Not yet. I think they have a chance to get there. I think that obviously if they win next Sunday, that they will be a dynasty. I mean, this is Patrick Mahomes' league. Everybody else is just playing in it. I feel bad for Lamar. I feel bad for Josh Allen. This was their year to actually get a championship in a down year in the NFL in general, in a down year where NFL offenses production has been down. I thought this was the year that maybe Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson would get a Super Bowl. You had no Deshaun Watson. You had no Joe Burrow. So the AFC is only going to get harder next year, right? When Joe Burrow returns, Deshaun Watson returns. You got Justin Herbert, who now has Jim Harbaugh, who's a great coach, by the way. Great coach. The Chargers are going to be a tough out for everybody. And then you got to deal with Patrick Mahomes all over again. So do I think the Chiefs are a dynasty? No, not yet. It all depends on what the outcome is for Sunday. But, we'll check it out. We'll see what goes on, and we'll see if they get it done. Now, do I want them to get it done? That's a question that you could save for another episode. We'll save it. I wouldn't mind seeing another dynasty, but I'm gonna really save that answer. I'm gonna wait till I get on here with Costa. Wait till I get a chance to speak with him, share some of his thoughts, hear what he might think, hear what he might say, and we'll check it out. Anyway, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for coming in. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. And yeah, we'll see, man. Let me know what you guys think. Anyway, follow the AGT Network on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. AGT Network. Shout out Carl. Shout out Costa. I'm out.